Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese and welcome to day 2 of Reesemas. Today's video is one that I've contemplated on doing only because I haven't done a conspiracy theory based video in a hot minute, but I kind of miss it. And so I thought, you know what, this is an interesting concept and it's been circulating on the internet, so I thought why not make a YouTube video on it, talk about the theory, the claims, and the conspiracy surrounding it, and maybe we can all come to a conclusion as to whether or not we believe it. I personally love watching conspiracy theory based videos. I really love to look into conspiracy theories, so if today's video is something that interests you and you want me to dive into different things like this, I would love if you would leave a comment down below letting me know. But without further ado, let's just get into it because there's a lot to take in and there's a lot that I want to talk about, and that is about an ex-CIA agent claiming that he assassinated Bob Marley. So I'm sure you guys have seen this at some point across the internet. You've either seen people saying that it's true or you've seen people saying that it's all a hoax and it's on like fake news websites and things like that. There's a real conspiracy around this. So basically, let's just start from the beginning. Now, supposedly 79-year-old retired CIA agent by the name of Bob Oxley came out with some pretty shocking confessions after he was told he only had weeks to live. Now, that wouldn't really surprise me if somebody came out with these types of claims after finding out they're about to die anyways, because at the end of the day, what happens to most people who try to expose government is they are killed. So if he thinks he's going to die regardless, or he knows, that he's going to die regardless, it wouldn't necessarily come as a surprise to me that that would be the time that somebody like this would come forward with the truths behind things, you know? So Bill was admitted to Mercy Hospital in Maine, and they basically told him that he only had weeks to live and that he was on his final days. Now, after hearing this news, he went ahead and said that he has committed 17 assassinations for the US government between 1974 and 1985, including Bob Marley. Now, we all know that Bob Marley actually died of cancer, so when I first saw this, I was like, how is that even possible? But what he goes ahead, and we'll get into that later, and says that he did as far as this assassination is bone-chilling, because if for some reason there is truth behind this and he is telling the truth, whew, it's frightening that people have the capability of doing this. So Bill worked for the CIA for 29 years, and he claims that he was often used as a hitman for them. He said he was often assigned to assassinate people that didn't represent the goals of the agency. So basically meaning whatever goals the CIA and the government had, if somebody didn't, behave along with those goals and kind of stay on that course, they were to be assassinated for what he believed was the greater good of America. He was actually a trained sniper, but he had a lot of experience in more unconventional ways of harming and murdering people. This is just what he said. And when I tell you some of the things he specialized in, you're gonna be like, okay. So Bob claims that he specialized in these unconventional methods such as poisons, explosives, and induced heart attacks and cancer. Now, who knew that you could induce cancer? I mean, the theory of that is just terrifying, but that is supposedly what he claims he did to murder or assassinate Bob Marley. Now, some of the people that he was said to have actually been sent out to assassinate during the span of his career were political activists, journalists, union leaders, artists, musicians, but he also claims that he was actually sent out to assassinate some people such as scientists and medical researchers. So let's just trace back for a second. He said that those that were chosen to be assassinated were those who basically did not comply with the goals of the agency or did not behave accordingly to the goals that they had for the United States and the world, so to speak. What would a medical researcher be doing that wouldn't comply with government? I mean, I can think of curing diseases. I can think of, researching ways to cure people with these deadly diseases that are said to be uncurable. I mean, That's a whole other conspiracy and I'm not going to touch on it, but I found that really interesting that he claimed that he also had assassinated scientists and medical researchers. Now the interesting thing is, he said Bob Marley stood out amongst everybody he's assassinated because he was the only victim that he actually felt something for, and he actually felt bad for him. So whether or not this is all true, I really don't know what to tell you guys. Like I said, I've seen people saying that this is a completely made up thing, it's a bogus internet story, and I've heard other people saying that those websites saying that it's bogus are government induced or government created because they don't want people to believe what he's saying. You'll never know with things like this. You really will not, because you're always gonna have two opposing parties and they're gonna be working so incredibly hard for you to be confused. So let's read. I'm gonna read directly actually from my phone the quotes as to what he was saying, because I don't want to misrelay anything to you guys. So let's take a look here. So he claims he had no problem going through with the assassination of Bob Marley because I believed in the CIA and I didn't question the motivation of the agency. I've always understood that sometimes sacrifices have to be made for the greater good. And that's a direct quote, supposedly, that he said straight out of his mouth. Mr. Oxley confesses that Bob Marley remains unique among his victims as he was the only victim he felt anything for. This is where he quotes again. The others were assholes. Bob Marley was Bob Marley. I was no closer to being a long-haired hippie back then than I am now, but I must admit, Bob's music did move me. It held some power over me. He claims to have mixed feelings about Bob Marley's death. On the one hand, Marley was a good man and a beautiful soul with profound artistic gifts, who did not deserve to have his life cut short. But according to Mr. Oxley, Bob Marley was also placing the goals of the CIA in jeopardy and threatening the existence of the United States. Interesting. Here's a quote as to what he means by this. He was succeeding in creating a revolution that used music as a more powerful tool than bullets and bombs. Bob Marley in 1976 was a very serious threat to the global status quo and to the hidden power brokers implementing their plan for a new world order. As far as the agency was concerned, Bob Marley was too successful, too famous, and too influential. A Jamaican who started using his funds and fame to support causes around the world that were in direct conflict with the CIA. To be honest, he signed his own death warrant. So basically what he's saying there is that Bob Marley had this intention of trying to bring unity, one love. He wanted to bring this world peace amongst people, and he really wanted his music and his words to be more influential than any bullet or any war could be. He was really implementing unity and love, and I guess that didn't go with the goals of the CIA, supposedly. And then here's a new quote. It's not like we didn't warn him. We sent a few guys to shoot up his house in Kingston, Mr. Oxley says, referring to the shooting in the Marley residence that left the singer with an injured arm and chest. We had a message for him. We impressed upon him that the gravity of the situation he found himself in. He didn't listen. Then he goes on to say, 2 days later, in the mountains, I stuck him with a pin. So here is how he says he murdered Bob Marley. This is all alleged, by the way. I don't know whether or not this is the truth. I'm relaying what has been all across the internet. He says, 2 days after Bob Marley was shot in the left arm by one of 3 gunmen who ambushed the singer and some of his crew in the house of Kingston, and after a brief stay in the hospital, Bob Marley traveled to the protective hills of the Blue Mountains and spent time at the highest point in Jamaica, rehearsing for an upcoming concert. According to Mr. Oxley, he used press credentials to gain access to Marley during the Blue Mountain retreat. He introduced himself as a famous photographer working for the New York Times and gave Marley a gift. I gave him a pair of Converse All-Stars, size 10. When he tried on the right shoe, he screamed out, "Ouch!" That was it. His life was over right there and then. The nail in the shoe was tainted with cancer viruses and bacteria. If it pierced his skin, which it did, it was a good night nurse. Oh my goodness, could you guys imagine? Then he goes on to say, there have been a series of high-profile assassinations of counterculture figures in the United States in the late 60s, early 70s. By the time Bob Marley's time came around, we thought subtlety was the order of the day. No more bullets and splattered brains. So basically what he's saying is, by the time it was time for Bob Marley to be assassinated, they didn't want to do it in a more high-profile way. To do it subtly and to, I guess, inject him with the cancer virus would therefore take speculation away from any murder. He would have therefore died from a disease. Mr. Oxley said he kept close contact with Marley during the final years of his life, ensuring the medical advice he received in Paris, London, and the United States would ensure his demise rather than cure him. He died from cancer May 1981. He was just 36 years old. Let's take that in for a second. He said he was sent to keep checking up on him to make sure that the medical advice and the medical treatments he received would ensure his demise. Now this kind of goes back to when I looked in a different conspiracy theory case and with Max Spears, and Max said that he believed that the medical attention and the therapists that he was assigned were government therapists, and that they were giving him advice to make him think he was crazy rather than to help him, and to suppress his memories rather than to bring them out. So that does correlate to previous conspiracy theory based videos we've done. He moves on to say, "The last time I saw Bob before he died, he had removed the dreadlocks and his weight was dropping like a stone. He was very withdrawn, unbelievably small. He was shrinking in front of us, and the cancer had done its job. The day he died in Miami was definitely one of the most difficult days in my career. I felt really bad. For a long time, I wasn't comfortable with my part in his death, but eventually I came to realize that it had to be done for America." So that's what's spreading around the internet right now. There is this man claiming that he played this specific role in the death of Bob Marley, that he had committed 17 assassinations in his time working as a hitman for the CIA, and that he believed it was all for the greater good of America. Now, the idea of the government killing off people who have too much power or are trying to expose them is not new in the conspiracy theorist community. It definitely is not. We've heard it time and time again. There are tons of conspiracy theories, surrounding Michael Jackson, Princess Diana. There are so many, and they are so bone-chilling when you dig into them and you kind of see the evidence. Now, like I said, I have read up that this is a false story, that this is a made-up story. I have also read up that those false story claims are from the government, trying to make people believe this was all an internet hoax and that they will do everything in their power to prove so. And I've also read people who believe that this man is just insane and he's making it all up. I've heard everything in my research and looking into this story. So whether or not this is the truth, whether or not it actually happened, whether or not this man even really exists, or it's all just a made-up internet hoax, it's really hard to say. But it's been making waves across the internet. Everybody's been talking about it, and I thought, why not make a video kind of laying out what this man has said, and we can all kind of sit here and think about whether or not we think that this could be the truth. What do you guys think of this? I don't think the entire concept is far-fetched whatsoever. I mean, I personally, I want to be so careful what I ever say on the internet because dang, I don't want to end up like this. But I personally have always took an interest into seeing what people think the government is capable of. I mean, we know that they're capable of a large scale of things, but whether or not Bob Marley got cancer naturally or whether or not he was injected with the cancer virus, I couldn't tell you. I'm very neutral on this. It just seems so detailed to necessarily be made up. I mean, he remembered this shoe size, the shoe. I don't know, you guys. It's really tough to say, and so I wanted to come on here and share this with you guys and see what you guys think of this. So this is the point in the video. If you haven't already, drop a comment down below. Tell me what you think of this, what you think of the entire concept, what you think of the death of Bob Marley, what you think about the fact that this man claims to have killed medical researchers and scientists. Let me know. Let's talk about this. I want to read through the comments. I want to hear what you guys think of this, and I can't wait to do so because I am so completely torn on this entire subject that my mind is just like racing. It sounded like something else. My mind is just racing, and I just want to know what you guys think of this. On that note, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of today's video. If you want some more conspiracy, spooky based videos in that sense, along with the paranormal stuff, let me know. Drop a comment down below. And on that note, if you are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos. I am posting every day from now till Christmas, so you definitely don't want to miss out. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It encourages me to keep on making these videos for you guys, which is what I love to do, so please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.